Hello and welcome back for another Torah Tuesday. I want to start by saying a huge thank you for watching these videos, for commenting, for sharing them with your friends, and for subscribing to my channel. This has been fun so far. I also want to thank Biola University for the new graphics and for supporting the production of these videos. Today, we are diving back into Exodus chapter 4. We're in verses 13 through 17, where we get yet another objection from Moses, another excuse to prevent him from saying yes to God's call on his life. So first, he had said to God, "Who am I that you should send me to Egypt?" And God reassures him, "I will be with you." And then Moses is like, "But what is your name? What if they ask me your name?" And so God reveals his name, Yahweh. And then he says, "But what if they don't believe me?" And God gives him signs to perform. And then he says, as we saw last week, "I'm just really not good at speaking. This is going to be difficult for me." And God says, "I will be with your mouth." This week, Moses adds a fifth objection to this list and says, "Send someone else." And God is going to respond today saying, "Aaron will be your mouth." So he's raised 5 objections, and he's received 5 reassurances from the Lord. There's one interesting word use here that I want to point out, and then we'll talk more about theologically what's going on. So the word Shallach in Hebrew can either mean send away or stretch out, and it tends to mean stretch out if hand or arm is the object of the verb. So if there's not an object, it can mean send away, or if the object is like your people. So send away my people, God keeps telling to Pharaoh through Moses later on. But here, Shallach is used with arm, which would normally be stretch out your arm. But Moses kind of awkwardly combines these two uses of the word. He says, Shallach, please. So that would be send away, please. By your hand, Shallach. So by your hand, send away, what he wants is for God to, by his hand, send someone else, but it's awkwardly implied with the Hebrew. God becomes angry at this. Failure to trust God is a dead end. So he says, what about Aaron, your brother, the Levite? It's interesting mention of Aaron's tribal affiliation, probably hinting at his role in the future as a priest. God is not frustrated by Moses' need for assistance. What frustrates him is Moses' lack of trust that God has this in hand and that he's going to provide everything that Moses needs. In fact, if we read carefully, it's evident that God had already sent Aaron to meet him before Moses even makes the request. So Moses says, "Send someone else." And God says, "What about Aaron, your brother, the Levite? Is he not already on the way to meet you?" God had already made provision for Moses' need before he even asked. This provision did not erase Moses' need to speak or his responsibility to speak. Moses' objections did not erase God's call on his life. Like it or not, God had chosen him, and he was now going to need to speak to Aaron, and Aaron would be his mouth to speak to Pharaoh and to the people of Israel. My question for you today is this: is God calling you to step out in faith and participate in his work? What needs or limitations do you have that make you feel like you're not cut out to do God's work? How can you step out in faith and trust that God knows what he's doing and he will provide what you need? Our mission here at Biola University is biblically centered education, scholarship, and service, equipping men and women in mind and character to impact the world for the Lord Jesus Christ. We have majors all across the spectrum, from cinema and media arts to nursing and engineering and teaching, biblical and theological studies, and Christian ministries. So if you're feeling the need for training as you begin to step out in faith, check out Biola University. We would love to have you join us. That's all for this week. I hope you have a great week.